I am so stoked. We have Action Adventure here. Congratulations on the signing of Pure Noise Records. That is
Hey.
a phenomenal fucking opportunity for the band itself. Um, I've been in multiple Facebook groups with the Easy Core group, the Pop Punk Networking group over the years. I remember seeing singles back in the day. One of my favorite was Parachutes. That's when I first got into Action Adventure in 2018. How are you guys doing? Welcome. I mean, I just appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast and chill for a little bit.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, man. We really appreciate it.
The first time George introduced me to you guys, probably like right as soon as he was like getting hitting his apex on TikTok, and he said, "Yo, look at this cool ass music video," and it was God, I forget the song's name. It's slipping on the top of my head. Yeah, and yo, that was powerful, man. That was incredibly powerful to watch that, and ever since then I've been hooked.
Thanks, man. I mean, that was a fun one. It was kind of emotional. You know, we didn't really know what the reception was going to be like. We didn't know, what people were really going to think about it. There were times when I just remember we're like, are we just going a little too hard at society right now? This is a little, we're kind of calling out the entire scene right now. I don't know how this is going to work out, but we talked it over and we were like, yeah, let's do it. It's like really important to us, and hopefully it'll be really important to some other people. And it just kind of luckily worked out. I'm stoked that it resonates with people and that people really just like appreciated, what we were trying to say and kind of understood where we're coming from.
Yeah.
You took real life situations and you put it in such a emotional video like that, considering the fact that it happens in the scene every day. I've seen it in person a couple times from my vocalist, and we can get into that a little bit later. But the song resonated so well, and I remember the band coming up on my For You page, and I'm like, holy shit, like, thank God great pop punk is starting to get noticed again. Like, it just, we try so hard as a community, and like I said earlier, we're in Facebook groups, and like we all share playlists and this and that. But when the algorithm picked up on it, it was just refreshing to see that. I was like, oh, sick! Like these guys deserve it too. I've known you guys since 2017, and I remember specifically, I'm pretty sure you hosted a show in Chicago with the band by Bears, right? That was like one of the big shows they stopped by in Chicago.
We've played with them a few times, so I don't know what year, like when you're referring to.
Was it?
We've definitely
16 or 17 at Sub T.
It was like 16 at Sub T, and then we played in 20. I feel like we played in 2018 when the most recent record came out. We played with them at Cobra Lounge too.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I don't know. We played with them a couple times. Those are our homies from across the pond, and I love those guys.
They were so stoked. They stayed at my house a couple of nights, and when they were in Pennsylvania, and they talked about Chicago. I was like, oh yeah, dude, Chicago's a great pop punk scene. I was talking to Midfield recently, and they really want to go out to Chicago. I've never been in Chicago for the inner city shows, but how is that scene out there in general? Since you've been, in this scene for quite some time, I would say over like 7 years now.
Yeah. Kind of wish Blake was here to talk about this because he's passionate about this specifically.
That's cool.
No, it's a really great scene out here, especially like the people that we typically play with specifically in the pop punk scene. Like everybody's super supportive of each other. As you said, like the Facebook groups and stuff, it's kind of the same feel when we're playing with friends. We all like want to share each other's music, listen to each other's music, and it's good in that way. But it's also like super saturated because we're a gigantic city.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it's much more difficult to like break out and set yourself apart. Harder to get noticed in general.
We were actually just talking about how like all of our friends' bands are good enough to be at a level where like they're on like larger labels and like they could be national. like we don't really know any like shitty local bands
That's
because
wild.
like everyone is just so good. So like the entire Chicago scene is just so good. So when your whole scene is that good, like you can't really stand out because like the whole scene is standout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you can't really, like Oren said, you can't really break out of that because it's like the standard is already just so high. Like you have to, pretty much be a fucking prodigy.
It's not even
to really stand out in some way.
It's not even a competition at this point. It's more of like a plethora of fantastic bands, like, which is pretty sick.
Right. Which is awesome. The only part about that's a little trying is that because everybody is so good, everybody gets all the good shows. You know what I mean? So it's like a rotation. And then like, there's a lot of people out there who like don't listen to local music. They don't know where to look. They don't know how to really get into like a local scene. So, until you can kind of break out of being just that local artist, you're not going to really be able to get to, this whole untapped market. And when everybody is at that level, it's harder to, to break out of that and get into that different market. So, the feeling of the saturation is real. But I mean, we're also so stoked because we just know so many great, talented people, and we just want to, show off all our cool ass friends all the time.
Yeah. Now you can just you can just get like a binder full of the bands that are local in your area. Like here, Pure Noise, here, Fearless, here, Rise. Like we've been here this entire time. What's up? Let's do something together. Let's build like a big like a team like situation. Like because I'm praising Travis Barker for what he's doing for the scene in itself. It looks like I'm comparing to what he's doing, bringing up all these artists. He's kind of having like that group that Lil Wayne did with Young Money. Like he's just getting these really talented musicians and he's making a shit ton of fucking hits with them. It's incredible. As long as the gatekeepers just stay at bay and let them, play music and let it be relevant. But I don't know. There's plenty of them out there too.
Well, they're probably actively right now trying to get their foot in the door. This can't happen like this. We can't let this happen. It cannot be this fun. There's some guy doing it,
Yes.
I mean, there's gatekeepers and naysayers and haters everywhere. Like you can't do anything about it. And like social media and the internet have totally just made it so easy for people to just voice their opinions, which is great, but also like some opinions suck. So there's not really anything you can do about it. But I mean, it's whatever. The people who are down to grind and persevere and push through it all. I mean, it's gonna get rewarded eventually, and it's just one of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, when somebody as big as Travis Barker is doing it, what are you gonna do? Gatekeep Travis Barker? Like,
hell yeah! Right. So
that guy's not real. That guy's fake as fuck. It's Travis Barker. Like, come on.
Bring back Tom. Bring back Tom.
Yeah.
For the Chicago scene, what did you guys have like I would say like a mentor in a way to kind of navigate you guys through where the good spots are in terms of how to get into the community and get to be one of these bands that is recognized in the community? Was there anybody that kind of helped guide you along as like a baby little action adventure crew, or how did that happen? How did that transpire over these past 7 years?
Oh man, I don't know if we necessarily had like a mentor in a way. I think that we like Blake was in a band in the scene for a long time before. He was in a project called From the Sidelines, and they had some success, so he knew a lot of people, so that was like really helped out a lot when we were like first starting and getting like our first shows. And then honestly, we just kind of like we're just like pretty normal dudes, and we're kind of just personable people, so we ended up just making a lot of friends in bands and stuff. And then people were like, hey, we have a show, you guys want to play with us? And we're like, yeah, let's play all the shows that we possibly can. And we just played a bunch of shows and just hung out with a lot of people and just kind of knew people. And then we started kind of playing venues over and over again, so we started knowing promoters. And it just kind of organically, we just kind of built a network of people that we knew and that could help us book shows and get on cool shows, and we had friends ask us to play and stuff. So it wasn't like one person. I can't like point out one person, but like definitely a lot of our friends and bands and a lot of like the promoters of the venues, like we couldn't have done anything that we've done without just the squad, just like our OG fam.
What's some of your favorite venues to play in Chicago?
Bottom Lounge is a great one.
Bottom Lounge is great, yeah. It's
Beat Kitchen, probably my favorite.
What's it called? Beat Kitchen?
Beat Kitchen, yeah.
Yo, that's a dope ass name. I just want to go there because of the name.
Yeah. There's
it's sweet.
There's a rap group called the Palmer Squares from the Chicagoland area, and they used to play there a lot, and they dropped the Beat Kitchen name in a bunch of their songs, and it always sounds dope.
Yeah, that definitely, it just has a good hook to it, so it's gonna work. Very easy.
I like Sub T. Like Subterranean is a great that's a cool venue. I love it. The only thing that sucks is like there's a crazy ass staircase that you have to load up.
And,
huge steep flight of stairs, yeah.
Oh god.
It's literally like 2 stories straight up.
Hell no.
That sounds like down in Philadelphia, there's a place called the Troc. It's not a venue anymore, but the smaller stage upstairs was where you had to like play the venue, and it was a hike to bring up like bass cabs and drums up there. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure the Troc used to be like an old ice house too, so it was like early 1900s size to everything. So you're ducking through doorways, but it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It had a cool feel to it.
Yeah, it was really cool. But going back to the TikTok thing, I think it was fantastic that when it did call traction on the app itself, you guys also doubled down with merch, because a lot of the people were like, this sounds like an anime intro. Like, that's so sick. And I remember seeing the video, and it's like all the comments, I'm like, tell me they're dropping merch. And it just, the editing and the whole video just sounded so pure and so perfect. Is anybody in the band huge anime fans? Is it crazy that people compare the song to an intro to something like that? Like,
oh man, me and Adrian and Blake definitely get down with we could say large amounts of anime.
That's cool. Like Attack on
I'm more
Titan.
casual than they are.
Me too. If my vocalist was here from Poeta, he could have a whole conversation about anime for like 3 hours, dude.
We could make that happen.
I'll have him as a special co-host, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy because like we didn't really hear it, and then after people started saying it, I was like, oh, I guess I had this like, we just had this subconscious influence this whole time. It just kind of, it kind of does. I'm not gonna lie. But the editing on that video that you mentioned, that's all Blake, man. And he is just a genius when it comes to.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
He actually edited the actual Barricades video as well. Our friend Jovan Trammell, who also shot the Poser video, the most recent one that we released, he shot the Barricades video and then just gave Blake all the footage, and Blake just knocked it out, man.
Wow.
That's literally the definition of DIY. That's incredible. That's good DIY.
Oh yeah, Blake is.
Appreciate you acknowledging that, man, because we talk about it a lot.
I'm kind of getting into like the effects and such too. Like I told, like you guys know, because I'm always tagging you stuff on TikTok. But like editing these videos and all that stuff to put them up there, like to my knowledge, is probably at an average level. So when I see good quality content like that, I'm like, oh man, I could wish I just had that. And I just DM like some dude. I'm like, yo, can you make something up real quick? Like, I'll pay you like, good money, man. Good money. I need an intro. I was like, oh, I got you. Because like I it just takes a lot of time. I appreciate that kind of work too. So I was thinking, I was like, they're pushing out really good content, but it's consistent. So someone in the band has to be doing it.
Oh, it's definitely Blake. Yeah.
Oh, what an asset!
It's definitely Blake.
He
really
is. Yeah.
He's a huge asset.
Listen, you guys have brought up Blake like 1,000 times during this podcast. Where the hell's Blake at? We need Blake here.
Call him up.
So,
It's only like.
Is he at work right now?
Probably.
I think he might be at work.
That's okay.
Blake works for the White Sox, so he it's like the beginning of the season, so he's like super busy with like editing stuff for them right now.
That's
That's that's probably why he couldn't be on today.
Yeah, that's no big. I wanted to get you guys on as soon as possible because I talked to you, Brompton, back in the day. I was like, bro, like, it's so cool. We got to get you on. Like, we have all these guests coming on. You're like, yeah, just let our press know. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, and that was before I knew, or the world knew that you guys were signed to Pure Noise. So you've been so busy since that. How did that work out? How's that experience been? Did they reach out to you? Have you guys been pitching out to labels and stuff like since like the mass engagement for Action Adventure? Like, how did that all come about?
So they did reach out to us, which was pretty cool. It was, the whole thing is still like super surreal. Like, I'm still kind of processing it. Like, I've been processing it since the conversation started, and like now it's out in the world, and you know, people are like hitting me up and talking to me about it and stuff, and it's still pretty weird. But you know, essentially, like, we were always planning to shop this release regardless, and it just kind of worked out that we were like, all right, let's release Barricades and see what happens, and then, you know, hopefully that can get like an okay amount of traction, and like the video is powerful, and then we can, you know, kind of just like use that and try and, you know, talk to labels and trick somebody into signing us. And
That's what it feels like sometimes.
That's for sure. So then, you know, when we had a couple different labels, like a few different labels approach us about stuff, they just kind of emailed us, and we were like, oh no shit, okay. I guess this is, let's talk about this. And then we, you know, had to scramble to like figure out what to do and get lawyers and all this other stuff, and you know, so it was a nuts. It's been a really crazy 6 months. Honestly, we couldn't have done it without our manager, Nina. She is just a gem, an absolute gem. She is like our sixth member, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. And yeah, we couldn't have done it without her. So she keeps us all organized and in line, and it's great because we're all terrible at that.
Yeah, we would fall apart without her adding calendar invites and handling all the back end conversations. Or just fall apart.
I love that. How long is that? How long have you been working with Nina for?
So Nina has been like a really good friend of ours for years, and she like actually used to work on like the booking side of the industry, and so like we've like worked with her in some capacity pretty much for like the past like 4 or 5 years, but really we kind of just fell into this management relationship because she just like, she's actually just outside of this one of my best friends, so she just kind of knows that we're not good at it, and she's like, do you guys need help? and we were like, yes, we absolutely do. And then
I know.
that's exactly it. Yeah, and then she, you know, we started doing it, and it was just such an organic and just like great relationship. And you know, we were just kind of like, could you just stay and help us, please? And she was like, okay. And then so it just kind of happened, and it just worked out.
No, that's awesome because it's usually I have seen other bands get into relationships with management, but usually they're from other states, or they're just trying to get their feet wet in the industry, and they're just reaching out and stuff, and like they're very unknown people. So it's great that like you already knew her right out of the gate, and there was already that trust factor. It's not like a stranger coming up like, hey, can you guys be managed? Blah blah blah. I can offer you all this, and it's like, oh, I don't even know you, my dude. So
Right.
Yeah, we've had weird experiences in that realm before.
oh shit.
Yeah. So Nina is definitely a breath of fresh air in comparison.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, keep you on the safe side. But no, and it's good. It's great that you have a great team around everything, because it's crazy because it seems like to me from what's happened, like it has been going pretty fast. I know you guys are feeling it every single day, but the message for the song Barricades resonated very well, and brought a lot of engagement to it. And then you even created like a documentary series on your YouTube channel about the signs that you held up. How often do you guys hear that bullshit? Like all the time? Like when you guys first started like getting into the local scene? Like, are you hearing these quotes? Like, you guys sound so white, and are you guys rappers, or a rap band, like an R&B band? Like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of fucking questions are those? Like, what kind of statements are those? Like, how? Like, is this a very common like thing that happens for action adventure?
Pretty common, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of where we got the idea for the poster video. We're like, they already think it. Let's just lean into it and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
So we shot a rap video.
Yeah, the stereotype for it. Cause going back to like that whole message and stuff, we played at the Knitting Factory in Brooklyn, New York. And it was like for a Skull Candy showcase, yada yada yada. Long story short, we got done playing the show, and our vocalist Kevin Torres, he's Puerto Rican and Guatemalan, and we were just hanging outside talking, like just hanging with everybody and stuff and whatever and whatnot. And a kid came up to him and they asked him, he's like, "What are you?" He's like, "What am I?" He's like, "Yeah, like what are you?" He's like, "You mean like ethnicity wise?" I'm like, "Bro, like what is wrong with this fucking scene? Like, why are we getting so in depth into the skin color of a person, correlating it to a fucking genre?" That's what pisses me off. So that's why I'm saying, like, you guys had, that's a lot of fucking courage to do something like that. So it just makes me appreciate the band even more. But what the fuck? To happen so often is just completely ignorant in itself. So I'm really sorry that you guys have to go through that.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that, man.
Yeah, it's weird because like it's not. We've talked about this before, but it's not always like ill-intentioned. It's usually not. I would probably say, but like, it's just based on people's preconceptions and seeing us a certain way, and like just kind of projecting that because they don't know how to process it otherwise, I guess.
It's other people's ignorance, and you have to kind of almost stoop down to the level to try and understand, hey, maybe they just don't have all the facts, or maybe they just don't understand, it's
right.
A shame that it's 2021 and you can Google the answers to anything, yet people are still so ignorant to the fact that, hey, this specific form of music doesn't have to be one skin color. Like it just seems kind of obvious to most people, but that's a shame. And it's something like George and I will never experience that. And that's something him and I had talked at length about, is just like, sometimes you just need to be reminded of that, is that not everybody has the same experiences. And, something that I take for granted, you guys obviously have had to struggle through, and you will continue to struggle through that for quite a while. And hopefully we can break a barrier where that's not a problem anymore. And hopefully something like what you guys did is a catalyst to change for that. So yeah, it was amazing. I showed my wife that. She was like, "Wow, that's incredible."
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, can we just normalize diversity? Like, what the fuck? Like, why is that gotta be so outlandish to some people?
Yeah, it's crazy because it's like, what are you? It's like, well, I'm a human, just like you.
Right.
I'm just a dude that likes to play this type of music, just like you're a dude that likes to listen to this type of music. So we're obviously not that, dissimilar. So what the fuck do you mean? What am I?
Right.
I would love to follow up with that, because like action adventure, you guys are here now. You're in this thing, right? So you've obviously had success, but for you guys coming up in the scene, obviously as different people that wouldn't be classified as pop punk guys, how was that trying to put your foot in the door, knowing that that's what people thought about you? Like, how hard was that? What made you stick with it and just kind of fight through it to get to where you are today, for each of you?
So I can touch on it real quick. For me personally, and I don't even experience it at the same level as like Brompton, Blake, and Adrian. I do get it sometimes. I get the "what are you" sometimes because I'm like kind of racially ambiguous. But I get that a lot. But for me, it's like it's a little weird because me and Brompton both grew up in Skokie. Adrian went to high school with us in Skokie, and it's like just outside Chicago on the north side, and it's a super, super diverse area. Like we have representation everywhere, like huge Korean population, huge Assyrian population, and it's just kind of an amalgamation. And so when we played music, like in our old bands, like around the area and even at our high school, people didn't. I feel like people were a little bit more open to it, I guess, and it wasn't as weird to like see people who look different from you, because people who look different from everybody was all around us. So it was a little easier in our like formative years to like get through it. And now that we're, in a band outside of that, in our 20s, a little bit more like we understand our places in the world a little bit better. It was helpful to have that, like growing up in high school, to not have like an insane amount of hardship when it came to playing music in front of people. And in our 20s, it was a little bit easier to swallow it when we were faced with it.
That's like absolutely like the case. I mean, also, I've been lucky enough to pretty much have been playing music with Oren for my entire adult life. We've been playing music together for like 16 years, probably now. Like me, him, and Adrian have been in bands since we were in high school. And so, I mean, honestly, I always had them. So we were always kind of able to rely on each other, and I never really necessarily felt alone. I always had the three of them. Definitely, like, I would feel that, I didn't necessarily look the same as, other guitarists and stuff. And that's definitely affected me in other ways. Like, I've always felt like I need to perform at a higher level, like during our sets. Like, I need to make sure I go harder so that people know that I'm fucking in it, Like, I have to make sure that I'm more well practiced, because, like, if I fuck up, they could be like, oh, well, that's to be expected. This is a black dude. They don't really know how to play guitar like that. When it's like, well, rock music came from black people, so that's definitely, like, it didn't really hit until we were in, like, our 20s, playing out more, playing in different states, in different parts of the country. That's where it, like, really hit, and it was like, oh, this is not the norm, We honestly, like, when we started Action Adventure, we ended up just all being people of color. That wasn't even on our radar. We didn't even think about it. We were literally just like, these are my friends, and I'm going to play music with them. And it just kind of ended up going, being like that.
Right. No, I feel that too. I remember the first time I think you guys filmed me on TikTok, I put a compilation video together, because all I'm trying to do is make playlists, kind of bring people over to the podcast at the same time, whether I share their music and they're on or they're not on. And then build playlists where, like, everybody gets an opportunity to get heard. That's how I thought about it, so that's how I started. But the first viral video that I put up was a compilation for pop punk, and I didn't expect it to blow up until I started reading the comments. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. But it was Hot Milk, Action Adventure, Magnolia Park, and Meet Me at the Altar. And when I started reading the comments, and it was like, the representation is Chef's Kiss, I'm like, I didn't even fucking realize it. I'm just suggesting good pop punk. Like, what the fuck? But at the same time, it's like, thank God now there is diversity in the fucking scene, because it's just been filled with fucking white pedophiles for way too long. So, I mean, can we just change that? Can we just fucking change that aspect? You know what I mean? So,
shots fired.
Oh, burn, baby, burn. But no, but all seriousness. And I showed Zach, and Zach, like, looked, like, we had this conversation in his living room where he's at right now. He's like, dude, that's just who you are, man. Like, you just love music. I'm like, I know, but, like, it's just sad that, like, people, like, actually bring color of skin into the actual genre, and there has to be a stereotype for it, like, oh, you don't have that hair bleached fucking side swipe, like, All Time Low or fucking Mayday Parade or something, you know what I mean? So it's just crazy how these people just view a certain scene like that. So but yeah, it's just, and it's just fucking great music. Is it that really hard to understand? I don't know. And then you followed up with Poser too. Did Blake fucking edit that video too?
No, Jovan actually edited that one. So he shot and edited that one.
Still look great, dude. Like, content just keeps coming.
Yeah, Blake edited all the little teasers and stuff together though. So all of anything we posted, like that's like just little clips put together, Blake edited all that.
Yeah, that's cool. No, that's a huge asset to have that, because like you just have to follow up with some of the graphics like that, and it's really expensive to hire somebody to constantly do that on a daily basis. So that's really cool. And even though like you took the 3 songs that you recently released and you put them into a single, right? If I'm not mistaken, that was just released as a single now for 3 songs.
Yeah, like on Spotify. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is the band continuing? I'm sure you have songs in the bank and stuff, but are you continuing to write into an idea of more EP singles, or is an album like a thought in the future of what might be released?
So there's an EP with 4 more songs coming out on April 30th. That's coming out via Pure Noise. So that's awesome.
Let's go.
It's gonna be awesome.
And we're continuing to write. We should be sometime in the fall. We'll be recording again.
Yep.
For the songs that you have already recorded, is it usually you're going to the same producer, working with the same studio in a sense, and is that who you're going to again if it's repetitive?
We do plan on going back. So Poser and Tuck Everlasting and Barricades and the rest of this EP that's coming out on the 30th, we recorded at ABG Studios with Seth Henderson. And it was overall an amazing experience working with him, so I don't think we're going to be going with anybody else for now.
Yeah, we had this conversation with Conquer Divide on the last episode, because their main guy is Joey Sturgis. I'm so fucking jealous. I told him that too. I was like, I'm so fucking
jealous.
jealous.
A whole set of questions itself. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the goat of
That's
metalcore
wild.
producers. But no, they consider him like another member too. I think it's great for bands to find that one producer, and it doesn't have to be the same studio, but like just a well-rounded person that's involved with the recording of your process to help structure, to help find things that could possibly be missing, or maybe just have fresh ideas that you can just throw their way. So I'm really thankful for that for Action Adventure. Is it in Chicago? The studio?
It's in Crown Point, Indiana. So about an
Okay.
hour, just under an hour and a half away from us.
Oh, that's not too bad. It's not bad of a hike. Yeah, that's like I have to go from PA to Jersey to record or something. Like that isn't anything like too crazy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They just crossing state lines and stuff.
Obviously, we're gonna have to go back to live shows at some point. It's a question we obviously get asked all the time. So, do you have any idea when you guys are trying to project when to be ready? Obviously, with releasing new music, when do you think you're trying to realistically be ready to get back on the road?
I mean, it's been like 13 months since we played a show, so I'm really trying to play a show like now. But realistically, with it being safe and everything, just as soon as it's safe, and as soon as everything is there are ways to get people safely into the crowd. I think that's the most important thing. We're not trying to like jump the gun or rush or anything. So really, as soon as it's safe, we're going to be down to be playing shows again.
Has Chicago done anything in the immediate area in terms of have bands like made an attempt at all? Because I know that some bands here in our area have done it a little bit with like drive-in shows at like parking lots and things like that, kind of being creative. But has your area done anything similar to that?
There have been a couple of drive-in shows. There were some drive-in shows last fall. Those are pretty cool. I mean, there were some sketch shows being put on at like random bars in the suburbs and stuff that like got real. Dude, it was real sketch, and they got flamed real hard, so that's good.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, nothing like crazy. Like we haven't like opened up all the way or anything like that. Definitely not.
Yeah, nobody wants to be the next Trapped or Smash Mouth, that's for sure.
God.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah, fuck that. What's I do we talk? We actually had an episode dedicated to talking shit on Smash Mouth and
Yeah.
because it was worth it.
Nice.
It was worth
God.
it. Cool.
They're
So,
the exactly the band who I thought would do something like that. It's like that's the anthem for those kind of people.
I
Sure.
think it's really
I see
cool
that.
too throughout what I've been seeing in the Facebook groups. Obviously everybody has always been on board for Action Adventure and are going to continue, and then also share as much as they have before. I think one of the most other notable bands within those groups over the years that I've met was Sharptooth when they also got assigned to Pure Noise Records. Now that they're label mates of yours, did you guys ever play shows with Sharptooth? Because I know the Facebook groups that we are all in, everybody shares content, playlists, tries to book tours, goes on tours with whatever. Have you guys ever played shows with Sharptooth? Have you ever guys talked to them or chilled and such?
Yeah.
We have. Adrian and I talk to Keith on a regular basis. Like we play Destiny sometimes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Their guitarist Keith, so they're actually pretty decent friends of ours. Wow, those guys and Lauren.
Such a small world. Yeah, I had Lauren on the podcast too. We talked a lot about the issues like within like the social justice issues and such, which was a really fucking cool podcast. Because I just think personally we need to talk about it more. Because that's how we're going to be able to expose the toxic areas within the scene. And
absolutely
human beings in itself. Yeah, you have to keep talking about it, because if you're not talking about it, then you're not really doing anything. You're not helping. You're not fighting the cause in a sense. That's how I look at it.
It's 100% correct. No, I feel you on that.
Yeah. Is there any bands that you have on the radar that you could see also getting signed or up and coming, or that have a lot of potential for the future of their careers?
Oh man.
Put you on the spot, man.
There's just so many. There's like so many, and I don't want to say some and forget any. There's like literally a list of bands where I'm just like, how are you not bigger?
Yeah. So what you can do is you can like send me a list of those bands later, and I'll just put them in the YouTube description and be like, check out all these bands.
Okay, absolutely. We can definitely do that.
That sounds great.
We can totally do that.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, just off the top of my head, like Highwire is a band from Chicago, and they're fantastic. And they just released an EP on Friday that I have not stopped listening to. It's great.
Super solid.
Our boys in Tiny Kingdoms are also fantastic. Love those guys. This is a lot of pressure, man. I'm like blanking.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to give you pressure. I'm just trying to like.
You're just going to start a community war. That's all. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, no problem.
Right. You know,
we've shared beers together, bro. What the hell? Nah, there's just a lot of bands, and it's crazy too, because when I do make these playlists, I want to make sure that like I'm listening to every single every single submission. Thank you. Every single submission that comes through, because I want to give everybody a fair shot. And I'm like, wow, it's so crazy that I don't hear a lot of these bands on a normalcy. Usually it's the broken record where you go on social media and you see the same big bands over and over and over again. That's all it's talked about. Nobody really talks about the underground to the next level to underground, which is like almost towards a professional level where they're about to hit that glass ceiling and break through it. Which is why, I'm always trying. That's why we have those Facebook groups and such. So it's really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, just off the top of my head, really quick, you even mentioned you put it in your pop punk bands to listen to. TikTok, Magnolia Park, they're like going super hard, and their stuff is super catchy. It's well produced. Their content game is great. Like it seems like they're doing everything right now.
Yeah, and Andrew Wade's definitely taking care of them. Magnolia Park.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then there's also like there's Pink Shift. Pink Shift is great as well.
Mhm.
They just dropped a record, and it's also great. And it's just crazy, like there's just so many people producing great music out there that just it's just not getting to the masses, and like it's one of those things where like if more people could just listen to it, they would blow up.
Yep, exactly. And
that's it.
I'm gonna cut a video into this YouTube to this episode right now for the podcast, and Zach literally said this.
I feel like this could be like a renaissance of music. Well, live music.
Mm-hmm.
Anything live. Because like now we all realize, if you didn't realize before, how necessary. It's not even how great it is, it's how necessary that kind of stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
It's necessary.
Dude, you called it. I'm pretty sure you're the first one that fucking called it, bro. Because these bands are
What's up?
coming out of the woodworks, and it's like they're so incredible. Where have they been all this time? Oh, they have, they have time to really focus and put a lot of effort into social media, which is
Because people have recognized. Nobody thought this would last the whole year. Nobody did. Maybe a couple people did, but not me. Man, I never understood how much I need, I need the community, and like not even to like kind of put it over the top, but it's such a big part of our lives, and it's such a big part of my mental sanity and just how I am as a person. That man, once it gets back, and I know that we're all safe, I feel like people are just going to be nicer to people. People are just going to embrace each other, and people are going to look for new music and understand that like there is more to life than just being within four walls within your house. Because like for a while, like we all get in those ruts where we just don't want to leave this place, right? Like now more than ever, we need this kind of stuff. And I love what George does with trying to bring bands that maybe don't get the spotlight as much and kind of putting them at the forefront and giving them their 5 seconds of fame and hopefully turn it into 15 minutes and then something more after that, because everybody deserves a shot, because everybody sounds good nowadays,
Yeah, with technology such, and I told this to Zach too. Like, it's not even me. Like, these are the bands that are playing the music. I'm just showing them. I'm just like, hey, check this band out. That's not, dude. It ain't me. It's them. They already have the great music. I'm just being like,
it's true.
You should look at my face, not hear a single word that comes out of my mouth, and listen to these bands because they're fucking good, dude. Like, it's just common sense.
He made a joke. He's like, I haven't said a word literally my entire TikTok time, and he's. What, you had made at least like 50 videos at that point. Literally hadn't said a word.
Something like that, yeah. Something like 50 videos. Yeah. I started doing 2 a day and 3 a days, but now I'm doing 1 a day. It's exhausting. So
it's better at 1 a day anyway.
Oh, I just put Pink Shift on. Before we logged into the Skype, I just put Pink Shift on a comp video. So
Sick.
Small world. Yeah, it's
yeah.
I'm gonna tell my therapist on you. Yeah, that song. That song's
yeah.
dude, like
Oh
what
yeah.
the fuck? Dude, they're edgy as shit, dude. Like and there's like a little grunge to it. I'm like, oh, this is so tasty. I can fucking do this. I can listen to this kind of music all day. I was super excited for the future of action adventure. Again, Pure Noise Records, you got a real winner here. I'm sure they obviously know that.
Congratulations.
It's very well deserved. I mean, just the grinding over the years obviously is coming to fruition, and people should take a lot of inspiration for the hard work and effort that Action Adventure is putting in on a daily basis. And then I also appreciate you guys coming on, talking about it. Talking about the social justice issues that we still have to deal with, that you guys have to deal with. I don't deal with it. Zach doesn't deal with it, but you guys deal with it every day. So honestly, like, I'm sorry that happened, but it's super fucking
Brompton
cool
was driving while we were doing a podcast. Like, you know how much dedication that is, like, at a minimum. Like,
yeah.
We appreciate it so much, guys. Like, seriously.
I was just to be clear, I was the passenger in this vehicle, not actually driving, because that would have been a little too dangerous. I wouldn't have rolled those dice.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were.
I mean, unless it wasn't an option, then I would have done it.
I'm putting a disclaimer in the info too. Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Brompton was not
that's
driving.
Yeah, that definitely needs to happen. Somebody's gonna get pissed about it. They'll think it.
Yeah, fuck them though. But no, for real, guys, congratulations and thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much
Thanks for having
us.
us.